Well, 17 years ago this weekend, the first episode of a new animated series called SpongeBob SquarePants aired on Nickelodeon. It turned into an international sensation, and they're still making new episodes. The children's show remains one of the highest rated.
It's still a big hit. At the center of it all, the voice of the animated sea creature, Tom Kenny. Now, Tom grew up in East Syracuse. He's a Bishop Grimes graduate. He now lives in Los Angeles. He makes his living as a full-time voiceover actor. We went up close with Tom in one of his favorite stops, the Miss Syracuse Diner.
How do you keep the voice consistent?
Does
it just come out?
Yeah, it just comes out. It's just, you just put it in the back of your throat and then out through your nose and, it's just little munchkin voice. SpongeBob. Oh, must be the long pants.
You know him best as the voice of SpongeBob. You may not know at any given moment he is voicing characters on 7 or 8 animated series.
I have been able to be Elroy Jetson I've gotten to do, which is Dawes Butler was the original guy.
Me and Astro are going to the Russian salt mines.
Not that far from SpongeBob. And I've done Top Cat. I've gotten to do Top Cat. Cheese it, boys. It's Officer Dibble. And I got to do Bullwinkle in a Geico insurance commercial with June Foray, the original rock.
What does Bullwinkle say?
Oh, God, I think he just had one line. I can't remember what the line was. Yeah, he just had to G-Rock, G-Rock. If you can say G-Rock, you can do Bullwinkle. G-Rock must be a 7.5.
I'll take that, thank you.
It's not just the voices and interpreting a script that make Tom Kenny stand out. He can find a new bit in any spontaneous moment.
Somebody get that?
Yeah. Hello. Miss Syracuse Diner.
When you're here, what are you thinking about when you're going back to your youth?
Oh, well, I spent a lot of time downtown in my youth. I was always jumping on the Centro bus in East Syracuse and sneaking down here from my teenage years on, my buddies and I. And
his buddies included Bobcat Goldthwait. They answered an ad in the Syracuse New Times for stand-up comics, while still students at Bishop Grimes High. With that experience under their belt, they created their next challenge.
We just went into the Lost Horizon and said, hey, it's kind of dead in here. It's a Tuesday. How about we put together a comedy show for you? New show every week.
Yeah.
Hour to an hour and a half of new material every week. Little did we know what that would entail. And we were still high school students, so it's like, oh. And there's geometry, oops. But they said, instead of going, no, you can't do that. There's the Improv, there's the Comedy Store, there's blah, blah, blah. We're not going to let a couple of 16-year-old knuckleheads come in here and just start a comedy night.
But they did let you.
They said, yeah, sure. Yeah. What do we got to lose? Yeah. And it was great.
Remember, Tom, Kenny, and Bobcat were creating sketch comedy just as SNL caught fire. Kenny also fronted a band called the Tearjerkers. Boston and San Francisco called, where he made a living doing stand-up for years. He says he's been day job free for 30 years.
I still utilize that skill set every day that I solidified here in Syracuse. Ad-libbing on stage, writing jokes, coming up with characters, having to learn and sing songs quickly, in character. That all comes from, here. I still use those skills every day when I go into the studio and come up with a new character or audition for something or make an ad lib on a show, and they go, "That's great. Keep that. We're keeping that. That's great."
Yeah. And that's great. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I still get really excited when I do it.
In the early 90s, Tom decided to try voiceover acting full-time. That fills his schedule today, although most days he's home for dinner.
And when you're not recording, you're auditioning for jobs that you want to get, or to replace some of those shows that maybe aren't going to make the cut, or maybe are in their final season, or not going to get picked up, or whatever. So it's kind of, there's always these plates spinning that you're trying to keep them in motion.
You just told me you audition.
All the time, every day.
Really?
Yeah, every day.
Do they
that
know?
surprises
they
people
know.
too.
They know. Do they look at your IMDb and they know you're SpongeBob? But you have to. Why? They're not auditioning because they don't know you're a professional. You're auditioning because of what?
They want to hear your take on it, and they want to play it against the other voices. They want to put different combinations of voices together to see tonally where stuff is. How does this voice sound with this. And Steve Hillenburg did that with SpongeBob, you know, when he played my voice and Bill Fagerbakk's Patrick together. He just liked the way that those voices coexisted tonally.
Okie dokie.
The address is on the bag.
Yeah, I got it.
He's great.
It's hard to believe that's him inside that little
Amazing.
sponge. You know, our up-close conversation with Tom did not end there. We talked a lot more about the thrill he still gets from meeting fans of SpongeBob who had now grown up with their own children. We also made a stop at Hyde's Hot Dogs in Liverpool. You can only imagine the entertainment that comes out of ordering a mixed double hot dog with Tom Kenny at Hyde's. We'll show you that tonight at 11.
In the SpongeBob voice.
Well, he, as you see, he does slip in and out of it on demand. You'll see tonight more of the interview with Tom Kenny, SpongeBob's voice on NBC 3 News at 11. A lot of fun.